Hello and welcome to Fast Horses Today. We are going to be covering the races for the start of the race week over at Santa Anita, which is Friday, February 6th. Yeah, nice card to start off that week, and some big carryovers. So they got a carryover in their own pick six, as well as a carryover in the Sunset Six, which is the last three races over at Gulfstream and the last three races over at Santa Anita. So should, result in some really nice pulls there. Usually when you've got pick six carryovers, especially with several days off in between, it usually nets some nice pulls there. So Santa Anita, I think, could look forward to that. And we as bettors can certainly look forward to that. So let's get started here at Santa Anita. So Santa Anita does start their race card on Friday with a 12:30 Pacific post time. So that's 2:30 here in the Central Time Zone. I'm going to skip over the first couple races. What I have today is I've got 3 win bets I want to make throughout the card. And a couple of those win bets will be included in the pick 6 as well as that late pick 5. So let's get started with the win bets here. We're going to go to the third race. Third race of the day. That does have an approximate post time about 1:32 Pacific. So that's 3:32 here Central Time Zone. This is a this is a first level allowance race for 3-year-olds. These are 3-year-olds fillies. They are going a mile on the grass. There's also an option to claim for $80,000, but in this small field, there are no horses that are up for the claim. So this is your traditional non-winner of one for 3-year-olds only. Some nice horses here. Looks like it will be a competitive field. I got a little bit of a price here that I like. I think she'll be a good runner on Friday, and maybe cash us a nice bet at a nice price. That being the 3-horse, Peanut Butter Bomb. Peanut Butter Bomb comes in for the Phil D'Amato barn, and Kazushi Kimura takes over. Now, this is the first time Kimura's on the horse. Umberto Rispoli had been on the horse, but we know Umberto is going to be out for a little bit. So, that's definitely something, I've mentioned before we'll take into the handicapping scenarios here is that, a lot of changes of jocks because of, the guys that are out now over at Santa Anita and the guys that will be taking over for him. So I don't see a problem with Kimura taking over the horse, riding it off of Rispoli. Kimura is certainly a good rider, definitely fits with this group. And, he does well on dirt, does well on turf, can just kind of run either way. You see him run on the front end. You see him finishing up strongly. So I think Kimura can certainly do it all. And as I mentioned, I think he fits nicely with the jock colony over at Santa Anita at the present time. So Peanut Butter Bomb, she is 4-1 in the program. She's had 2 starts. So I really like her, the film and watching her 2 starts. She had started out her career back in October of last year, won a turf sprint on the flat grass there at Santa Anita at 6.5 furlongs. So whenever a horse can come out first time and win, certainly gets your attention, shows a lot of ability there. She ran a really nice race that day to break her maiden. Nice speed figure for her first time out. She beat a nice horse in Surfin' USA, which we saw Surfin' USA win a really nice race last weekend, at a pretty good price. So, shows me that Peanut Butter Bomb looks to have some nice ability. They thought a lot of her where they ended up putting her in a 2-turn race in a stakes race, and that being in the Blue Norther, towards the beginning of the Santa Anita, right around opening day there of the start of the meet this past meet opener. And I thought she ran a really nice race there. She ended up running with one of the horses in this race here, being the 2-horse Wild Like the West. Now, Wild Like the West did finish in front of Peanut Butter Bomb, just by a small margin there. But I really like, the fact that this horse ran so nicely in her 2-turn debut. Also, it looked to me like she was kind of goofing around, kind of playing around, maybe running in spots. I'm not sure Rispoli really, was able to handle her too well. I think if she puts it all together, I think you're going to see a much, much better effort from Peanut Butter Bomb. I think, she just has a lot of ability, and, I think we'll see it here. Phil D'Amato horses, he knows how to train. He gets the best out of them. I think that, second time, 2 turns, I think we'll see a big improvement, and maybe Kimura will just maybe have the keys to this horse and be able to bring her to the winner's circle. So in the third race, we're going to bet the 3-horse, who is Peanut Butter Bomb. All right, now let's go over to the 6th race of the day. We're going to skip over the next few, go to the 6th race of the day. 6th race is a 6.5 furlong dirt sprint. It is a starter allowance race with an option to claim for $50,000. So, these are 3-year-olds only, so another 3-year-old only race. And I've got a horse here I'm going to make a win bet on, that being the 4-horse, who is Liam Smith. Now, Liam Smith comes in for Jeff Mullins. Mullins claimed this horse out of his last start, and, he keeps Jaramillo on the horse. Jaramillo had ridden this horse twice. Mullins claimed this horse off of Doug O'Neill. And looks like, unique situation here. Jeff Mullins has 3 different horses running today in various races, and these are all horses that he's claimed. So we're going to see Mullins off the claim. We'll get a really good sample here as far as how Mullins does it off the claim. Now, Liam Smith was a horse that first time out, he ended up running on opening day. Opening day usually has a pretty good maiden race there, and at the time it would be 2-year-olds because it was in their 2-year-old season. But it always seems to be some nice horses coming out of that maiden race that they do on opening day. This being one of them, I think that could be a live race. Liam Smith didn't fare too well in that race, but they ended up bringing the horse back. O'Neill brought the horse back a few weeks later. This horse ended up running a huge race, and O'Neill might have gotten caught, kind of with his pants down there because the horse ended up getting claimed. Mullins must have seen something with this horse. When this horse got put into that optional claiming race, Mullins jumped in and claimed this horse for 50. So, I'm kind of wondering, maybe O'Neill thought he might get by with one, but it didn't work out that way. Now, that day, that horse ran huge. The horse had a huge buyer figure, ran a really big race. Disappointed me because I had a horse that I had given out on Fast Horses today, being Sharon's Beach, who Liam Smith ended up beating Sharon's Beach on the wire. So that was a big disappointment and cost me some nice payouts there. So I'm going to go back with Liam Smith here. I like the way he ran it last time. I think that this field here, is certainly one that he can handle. I think that Mullins, probably found a nice spot here off this claim. It made him eligible for a race like this. There should be allowance conditions, and who knows, maybe a stake, minor stake, or something for this 3-year-old here by midshipman. I think that, Mullins probably, like I said, just trying to fit this horse in, maybe cash a person and move on to other things. I think this horse certainly good enough. Jaramillo's ridden this horse twice, so he certainly knows the horse, and, betting on Ismael Jaramillo is definitely, a good thing because he seems to win a lot of races, does a lot of good work. Now, Liam Smith is 9-5 in the program. Maybe we'll get somewhere around there. I think it's worth a play. All right, now let's move over to the next race we're going to play, that being the 8th race. The 8th race is a first-level allowance race with a $50,000 claim option there. They're going 2 turns. They're going a mile on the dirt. And these are fillies, 4-year-olds and up. And, that $50,000 option, does come into effect because we do get a couple horses that are in for that. So that helped, create this field and make this race. Now, I'm going to go with the 1 horse who is Our Moonlight. Our Moonlight coming in for Dean Pedersen. Dean Pedersen legs up Tiago Pereira again. Now, if this horse sounds familiar, it's because we did bet this horse last time. I gave this horse out on Fast Horses today. She ended up coming second that day. Was the favorite, came second. I think that maybe it was just a thing where she ran nicely, didn't get the win, but it probably sets her up for, her next race out, which is going to be on Friday. So, they're moving her to 2 turns, which should be no problem for her. I mean, she's by Tappet out of an unbridled song mare. And, let's face it, maybe, the longer races is probably what she wants to do, even though she's done well sprinting. So they're putting blinkers on her on Friday. Maybe there was some focus problem, something like that. I don't know. Maybe Tiago Pereira might have, suggested that to Dean Pedersen. But anyway, Our Moonlight is 8-5 in the program, so she's certainly no secret. But I think we're going to see some nice things out of this horse. And I think she catches a field that she should handle. And at 2 turns shouldn't be a problem. She's run 2 turns before, didn't do badly with that. And, let's face it, a mile race at Santa Anita, it's probably not the most difficult 2 turns to do. I remember way back when reading up Charlie Whittingham saying, if you thought your horse might have had distance limitations, try the horse at a mile at Santa Anita. If that horse can't do a mile at Santa Anita, then yeah, certainly distance limitations. But I don't see that being the case for Our Moonlight. I think it's a matter of getting her in the right race, which it looks like she is. So 8-5, I'm hoping we get somewhere like that. We'll make the win play on Our Moonlight. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so to start out the race week over at Santa Anita on Friday, February 6th, we got a big day as far as pools are going to go because we got some carryovers. So I've got 3 win bets I want to make over at Santa Anita. We're going to start in our 3rd race with the 3 horse, Peanut Butter Bomb. Go to the 6th race, the 4-horse, Liam Smith. And then finally, go to the 8th race, the 1-horse, Our Moonlight. Now, these are 3 win bets I'm going to make. If you want to make these win bets as is, I wish you the best of luck. If you want to use some of these horses in your multi-race wagers, a couple of them do fall into that late pick 5 and the pick 6 carryover. So maybe, make your ticket more affordable with these horses. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing to start their week. Let's wish ourselves some good luck and some good trips. Maybe we'll start this race week off in a winning fashion. So as always, I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses Today and listening to the picks. Thanks to everybody who's hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done so, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, just delivers the content to you. Please make comments, like, dislike, make good comments, make bad comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's create a discussion. So let's start this week off at the Great Race Place in a nice fashion. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you for more coverage throughout the weekend on Fast Horses Today. Have a wonderful Friday.